you're looking at maybe Formula 2000 in America, which, well, that was the route I went, or you're looking at Formula 3 in Europe. Right now, especially the British F3 or German F3, they tend to be the best. Are definitely the most popular anyway. But I think definitely if you're in German or British F3, that's the way to go. So you're coming from Formula Ford, and August, September, October, you're talking to Formula 3 teams, or you're talking to Formula 2000 teams in America and Canada. So I mean, there's a lot of prep to be done. So you're not dealing with the engineer right there and then. You're talking to the team owner, team boss. Can we make a deal? Can we do a deal? And then if you get the deal done, now of course there's a lot of limits now on testing these days. So because they're trying to keep the budgets down. Now the thing is, if you do get some testing in, you would definitely try and wrap up your season in Formula Ford. Maybe get 1 or 2 test days during the summertime, right, which would be great prep work for the year after, right? So in other words, if I'm in Formula Ford in May or June or July, I'm looking to try and get into a practice day and testing in a Formula 3 car or a Formula 2000 car to level up in the next few weeks, few months in the summertime. I mean, that now, if you can get that's an ideal scenario that you have. So anyway, you may or may not meet the correct engineer at the time, but you see, sometimes if you're going into a pre-season test day, you might be put into the number 2 seat instead of the number 1 seat, so you mightn't have the engineer that you would have. Because at the end of the day, if you are getting a pre-season test, in other words, if I'm in the summertime, I'm racing in Formula Ford, I just want to make sure I'm clear here, guys. If I'm racing in Formula Ford, and in the summertime, if I get a pre-season day in a Formula 3 car, a whole day of testing, the number 1 driver might have the number 1 engineer, whereas they're not going to risk putting you into the number 1 car, okay, most times, because their driver might be leading the championship or chasing the championship. They don't want to risk Peter, let's say, jumping into the car, crashing the fucking thing, writing the car off, damaging everything, and all of a sudden their main driver is coming back into the team. So you mightn't even meet the guy at the time here. So you sign up, you get the job done, whatever, if you're the number 1 or 2 driver, you meet the engineer. Now, you'll be doing some pre-season testing, hopefully, if you're prepared and you can get out in test days. And you might do a few test days. And now, you see, the thing is with test days, it's like a lot of sports where you're not pushing. I mean, really what a racing driver and engineer will do, this is where the relationship really comes in now. The racing driver and engineer are focusing on, or what they should be focusing on, is the basic balance of the car. Now, yes, the racing driver might have to get to grips with the car, right? Get used to downforce or less downforce, God knows what, more engine speed. Now, as a racing driver, give yourself an hour or two and you're fine, you know? You should be, if you're any way decent, you should be used to the grip levels and that faster engine speed. So what you're aiming to do is, pre-season testing is all about getting the balance of the car. That's it. Now, you maybe go out and do a couple of hot laps, of course, but you shouldn't be pushing. You're trying to just build up consistency. That's what a real racing driver would be looking to do. If he's on the ball, you're looking for a balance. Is this good grip level for it? If I do a 10-lap stint, is this good grip? Is the engine speed staying up? Is the engine speed staying up at 200 miles an hour from going into a corner? Or is it actually losing power? Or if I've got too much handling, too much oversteer, understeer, midway through that 10-lap stint, am I losing engine speed at the end of the straight simply because I've got too much oversteer after lap 5 because it kicks in, or too much understeer? Therefore, when I'm coming out of the corners, it's getting affecting the engine speed. Therefore, it affects me down at the end of the straight. So all these factors are a big thing now. Relationship between you two is vital at this stage. Now, pre-season testing, to me, was definitely the most important part, without a shadow of a doubt, the most important part of being a racing driver. It's the preparation that you put into it. It's, and not just even the handling of the car or the engine speed of the car you'd be focusing on. There's other things like getting to know the engineer. In other words, can Peter actually be open and honest and communicate properly with the engineer? Is Peter going to lie and just blame the car, which I never did? But there's racing drivers that would do this. They blame the car. Oh, it's this and that. Where they really actually can't read a car. Is it understeering? Is it oversteering? So there's a lot of things like this. And your engineer's got to figure out, okay, is Peter a bullshitter? Is he telling me the truth? Does he do a bit of both? And then, whatever way you are, you've got to work around that then.